narrative to influence what's happening in whether it's social media, entertainment, sports, and and also once again this month is Black Music Month, as well as this is our LGBTQT community month as well. So with that being said, I want to introduce you to a man who has over a dozen years experience. I think he's a little bit more than a dozen years experience. But anyway, he's a leader in promotion and marketing within the music industry, lifestyle industry. He has a love for music and entrepreneur. His parents, born from Jamaican parents, he's a yard man from Greenburgh, New York, near White Plains, with a strong family foundation. At the age of 17, he was able to get into the music business. Do you understand this? At the young age of 17, he entered the music business and grew within the ranks very quickly as a director of A&R, artist and repertoire, vice president of promotion of Sony Crave Records, which is the label that Mariah Carey created. He's worked with LL Cool J. He's worked with Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, so many artists. He's been the associate editor of Fader Magazine, co-founder of the Cornerstone's 1200 Squad, 1200 for DJs, Cornerstone Mixtapes. He's also the co-owner of American King, the independent record label responsible for the success of many artists, including Mims. This Is Why I'm Hot was the first rap song to sell over 1 million ringtones. Do you dig this? And that's why the name of his company is called DigiWax. He's one of the first pioneers to understand how to incorporate technology and record promotions and music and promotions. And at this present time, he's currently on the cutting edge because he's working on a blockchain space using that technology to redevelop the DJ space. So he's a futurist. He's always been a very hungry and innovative individual. I'm so proud of my man, Corey Llewellyn, CL, in the place B. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for the intro, all of that good stuff. How y'all brothers doing? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
We're doing great, man. We're doing great. In spite of the circumstances, family is good. My daughter's well. Everybody's well. Mom's well. Wife's well. What about you, man? How your two girls doing, man? Daddy duty.
Everything, yeah, everything's a little different. Everybody's home all the time, and it's good because they get to pick up on who you are outside of when you come home, and how you're doing things during the day, and we get to do things, and they get to get into my world a lot more, I should say, and vice versa. So right. It's a change, but I think it's a good change, and I think maybe we're in a place, we are in a time where a lot of things need to change.
Yeah.
I know what you mentioned before, and I think this is about starting almost from, I don't want to say starting from scratch, but at least resetting your mind to saying, let me build my own platform so that I don't have to rely on anybody or anything as much. I'm not saying do it by yourself all the way, but I am saying, begin to build yourself up to the point where when you do link, you're not necessarily limited to the people that's giving you the opportunity. You guys people can come together and build something even bigger.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. So Corey, Kevin Carr here, co-host. I'm here with my man from the Bronx. Brooklyn. Excuse me. No, Brooklyn. Let me clean it up. Sorry, Bronx. Sorry, Brooklyn. I ain't trying to mix y'all up. I know
that was so quick.
I fixed
that quick.
Joel, appreciate you being on the show. Corey, CL, should I affectionately call you? I love the way you've come on the platform to really talk about two things that I love to talk about in my business, which is opportunism, being about an opportunity. Right now, we know COVID has presented some challenges for us all, and it's quarantined us, but we're not quarantined ever from opportunity. You know what I mean? And one of the things I want to hear is how did you begin to tap into what you love to do now? When did you first get going? How did you find your passion? Because I think part of capitalizing on something is knowing how to even originate, where it comes from. So tell us your story, man. Start us out.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, my passion, is good question, because at the end of the day, it all started from music, just a pure love of it. What it used to do for what it does for my soul, and that that feeling you get when you hear that record that just makes you feel euphoric. Gives you that
Yeah.
feeling of joy. So that's what it really starts. And my family is Jamaican, like you mentioned, and reggae has a very spiritual vibe to it. R&B music is a very spiritual vibe, even hip hop and everything else. And it grabbed me from there. I fell in love with the music business. I got an opportunity to intern at Sony through a program called the Arise program through my high school, and I would have to take the train every day into Manhattan and just sit up in the office and learn. Yes, you're pushing papers and doing copies and packing envelopes, but that allowed me to see the back end of really what happens, how a record gets to a person, at least the beginning of it. And I was intrigued, man. I just fell in love with it, and I kept going. And the more I went, the more I learned. And at some point, very quickly, I realized this is what I wanted to do. Um, and I dedicated my life to it. I would hop the train if I didn't have the money to get to work or get to the internship. I would hop the train and do what I had to do, and I would do it. And all for the sake of whatever, free CDs, vinyl for my friends, that were DJs and everything else, and it just kept building and building into that. And it also put me into a great network of people, mentors, and friends that I can call friends to this day. People that would take the time to teach you or tell you things. And it was great, man. I was actually working in the Epic Urban department first, and we had Lamont Bowles, who was the head of the promotion department at the time. We had everybody from a guy like Lamont Bowles and Dwayne Cunningham to a guy who really gave me a shot was Mark Genova and OJ Wedlaw, who later on became, really OJ became a big part of helping DigiWax come to fruition, and whatnot. So yeah, man, it literally started with a love for records and music, and knowing that it does have an effect on my spirit, what I listen to and where these records come from, and I just took it on, and it became a career. Um, and it took me a long time to really get to figure out what I wanted to do, and I say that because when you say you love music, that's like a broad statement. There's so many things to do behind the scenes, and I really had the intention to just becoming an A&R all the time. I really wanted to just find talent, develop it.
Can you break down for people that don't understand what A&R would be? So what is A&R?
Yeah, the fancy term is artist and repertoire, which is a fancy term for really a person that identifies talent, right? Sees a vision, grooms the vision of the talent, finds the right production or sound for that talent, if they don't already have it, and they work with the artist and the label to create the brand, musically, sonically, um, and how that brand connects to their other part of the brand, which is their look, so the style and the styling of the artists, who they are in video, but it all comes out of that sound, and the sound connects to the other aesthetics of the artist, to make them big. And that person a lot of times is a creative of themselves. A lot of times it's either they were a producer or a DJ, or they were artists themselves, and they're more like grooming the talent, sonically, to make hit records, and most importantly create a hit sound. That's
Mm-hmm.
the win.
So,
Hit,
so
go ahead.
I want to tap into that a little bit because, um, you know, it's music business has changed tremendously, right? From when you were in making that sound, and that the sound was a little. I mean, it sounded similar, but it was still different. Whereas now, I think everything sounds the same. And so, what I'm interested to know is, in your opinion, how is people making money now in the music business, and how are you generating revenue? I see all the vinyl in the background.
Oh yeah. Well, got to keep it real with the vinyl, but people are making money in different ways. I mean, obviously, it's different than 20 plus years ago when I started. The revenue streams, royalties are how people make money. Now the streams, the way they make royalties, they come from different places. Obviously, digital is a big play on it. And the new Millennium Digital Act in 2001 changed the game in terms of creating the laws that would allow artists to profit off of their digital sales,
Mm-hmm.
digital plays. Um, Today, majority of the artists are making money through streaming, obviously, through digital sales, YouTube, and other online platforms that collect that the label collects money through Sound Exchange and other PROs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's how a lot of people are just simply making their money. I mean, it's hard because we're in a different space right now, so the shows are not there like that. Um, some of the other traditional revenue models aren't there, but streaming is up. Well, streaming is doing well, um, and it's doing well enough to where I think what artists like about it is that they can actually see some transparency for the first time in terms of their sales, and and,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a key word because the issue of transparency in the music business has been an issue for every artist. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in the past, labels are very tricky. They know how to steal money. They know how to hide money. Um, and now, when you have platforms like a TuneCore or platforms like a Orchard, where their model is strictly based on trust. Hey, you want to go in and see how many people streamed your songs on Apple, right? Go check it out yourself. If
Right.
you want to see how many Spotify streams you got, if you want to see how many YouTube plays and how much we collected, you could actually see that. So, it's key for that. I think a lot of there's other ways that artists are making money. Another way is obviously many artists have been able to build their brands up socially, and their social media is now social um, currency. And what you find in a lot of social media influencer networks paying people, or the influencers themselves, aka the artists we're talking about, being paid by brands or by artists. I mean, by brands or other platforms, um, services, whatever, to actually post and to share certain brands and services. So that's the other way artists are able to monetize.
I got a question. Where and when you say monetization, tell us where maybe one of the most clever spots you've seen where right now 20 people can really find maybe an opportunity for them to get into the industry and find a little bit of green space. Is there such an opportunity that you know of
So
right
I
now?
think it's. I think there's always opportunity. No, number one, without
Okay.
there's opportunity. The question is, have you indulged and researched enough to find it? See,
Mhm.
with DigiWax, what we created an opportunity is because there was not a space. You have to sort of see where there's something that's not there that's needed, and we
Okay.
saw the need for a digital record pool before anybody else created one in terms of us being able to service records to DJs digitally via MP3 and download links and so on and so forth. But today I believe there's opportunity in everything. I think that any smart person can start to see what are people using to connect with music, how are artists best creating fans from out of nowhere, and finding creating tools to bridge that stuff. So kids these days, they're on TikTok a lot, right? So
Mm-hmm.
but they also listening to Spotify or using, what opportunity can you create within that space to make the two sort of talk to each other? In other words, how do I get my fans that like something on TikTok to go to my Spotify, or how do I get my people who discovered me on Spotify to check out my YouTube? And you have to create things that will help with that. Now, I don't
So
have a
so so pause right there, CL.
yeah.
So what is how is Digiwax helping artists get their revenue, get this money? How
So
you get?
our thing is really the fan journey. In other words, we focus on creating the steps that allow a stranger to become a fan of an artist. That is
Mm-hmm.
what we do, now, and that comes from consulting the artist, trying to figure out exactly what they have, what content they do have, and really finding their talent, their God given gift, and then taking that God given gift and trying to come up with uh, um, some type of, I'll say, a viral moment. What can we create with this person's talent? And it's not necessarily a single anything, but what can we create with this person's talent that's going to make a stranger stop and pay attention,
Mm.
right? And then taking that and creating that. So it might be a singer that can sing exceptionally. It may be, hey, we're gonna do a cover of this record that's incredible. Shaka Khan, Whitney Houston, whatever. We're gonna film you doing it raw, and we're going to put it out there. We're gonna pay to boost it. We're gonna pay to post it everywhere. We're gonna put it in as many places as possible just to get people's attention, right? And we'll put
Mm-hmm.
the link to your song in there, to your single, but we just want to grab their attention. And then once we grab their attention, our second, well, that the next phase of a plan would be to say, now that we got people's attention, a stranger's attention, how do I get that stranger to actually say, you know what, let me check this thing out real quick. Let me see what this. I liked her the way that she was singing. Let me now see what she's working with. Let me see if I can find a song or two, and then start to see if they can fall in love with you a little bit more. And they
Mm-hmm.
like the song, and then you could promote that. And then after that, we say, all right, well, let's start talking about the story, the journey. So, it started out with no fans. Now this person has over 100,000 fans. Their song is being streamed over, X amount of times. It's been Shazam. People are checking it out. You should too. And pushing that narrative until, they begin to build a base. So
That's
that's sort of what, the journey that we take the client through, and there's tools that we use to do that. Obviously, we are knee deep with the DJ culture. We love DJs because they help build us up, so they're a major part of that. Social media influencers that we spoke about, they're a part of that. Radio promotion, obviously, and places that do first listens, first plays, first spins, they are a part of that. So it's about utilizing the platforms that we either work with already, radio, video, and all these other platforms, to the ones that we've created, and putting that together around that customer slash fan journey, that we use to get customers to become fans of the, or strangers to become fans of the artist.
So I got a question for you. When people are looking at our show, they're looking for how to make a power move, how to move from one level to the next, or even just to begin something that they've never done before.
Real talk.
You're really great at explaining, very complex things, very simple. So I just really want you to be real with people on how is it that when you say you got to do your research, you got to do your homework, you know, why aren't people like wanting to start there? They want to get to the top, but help us find out what that beginning grind needs to kind of people need to be thinking to
It's
develop
good.
it.
It's a good question because yeah, that quick success is not as real as people believe. It's really, it does start with re-educating yourself. And I'll just use me for an example. I was thinking about marketing and promotion one way for a long time. Not one way, but within a certain direction for a long time. And it took other friends and other people who had to go out. I had to put myself out there even more. That means I attend a lot of music conferences. I attend a lot of music tech conferences. I attend a lot of tech conferences. I attend a lot of online digital events that are with like-minded people who I know, I may try to run into. And I go there with the intention of meeting everybody I can. And out of that, the conversations I have, you're going to meet people that are going to perk your imagination. They're going to say things that may make you, damn, I remember what he said or she said. I got to see what's up with that. I got to follow up. Because really what I'm looking for is people that know more than me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do that, it just, it started there for me, because one, you extend your network, and that is the power of what we all have. There's the network, because the network allows you to tap in and get things done. But you're also able to learn from those same people as well. The other part of it is that these conferences, they have a lot of seminars and workshops that are talking about the subjects that you really want to learn about, and you have to take the time to actually look at them and listen and learn. In other words, remix your mind, your education, change it all the way up.
Y'all
Um,
heard that? Remix your mind. I love that.
Remix your mind.
yeah, man. The other thing that I do, which I've been doing more and more of, is actually taking some online courses on this stuff. So yes, without question, there is Udemy, Corsica. Um,
Corsica.
you have
Yes.
you have other like specific marketing programs and sales programs. Don't think you're too good to like take these classes. I don't care if you learn one good thing out of it. Yo, it takes maybe, I'm telling you, a lot of us know a lot, but there's something you don't know. And if you can learn one more thing, you got an advantage. And you can figure out how to bring it into your I don't say, yeah, but your world of ideas and how to do things a little bit better.
So
So
you're really talking to me right now because I really want people to understand like this brother is giving us some real humility here. He just said he had to remix what he thought was the lane and had to retrain himself and retool. He had to come from somewhere to get where he got a level of consciousness. He got to some point. How did you get this consciousness saying, yo man, this is not working,
yeah,
or I'm brave enough to say this is okay, but maybe I want to go this way? And what kept you fueling where you needed to keep going? And when did you get that sign when you was like, oh man, I think we got it, I think we got it, you know what I mean?
uh, you know, uh, first and foremost, artists. We've been blessed to have artists come to us over and over again for help. And there was a time when I was like, you know what, we have to figure out how to do more. And that was sort of the motivation behind saying, okay, so what are we doing wrong? What can we do better? All of those questions, right? And it started out with actually some people that I work with now. And we started to have these long conversations. And I'm happy to say, they know, some of them know a lot more than me on certain things. And I listened, and I started to change how I was looking at things, and I started to listen from their perspective and take some of my perspective as well. And we collectively started to think things out and figure out better ways to do things. So that's where the motivation came from. And it also came from wanting to say, want to break more artists. I mean, that's where it came from. At the end of the day, you want to see everybody succeed and go as
That's what's
far as you
up.
can. So you try to give them better and more advice. Real talk. So it came from all of that.
So hold that thought, because you dropping it right now. We got to get ready to go on break.
We got to pay some bills around here.
We got to pay some bills. So we going to be out for about 1 minute and 40 seconds. But once again, this is Power Moves with celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect with CL, the CEO of DigiWax, coming back in a minute and a half.
Don't go nowhere.
Everybody go on mute. All right, we are back.
We're back, y'all.
We are back. CL's in the place to be.
CL getting a fresh touch of makeup. We'll let him get that on him.
So once again, so the theme of the show, Kev, is you were saying you talked about passion. So just to kind of introduce everybody, if you didn't know, Kevin Carr is a former executive with the NBA, and he has this company called Pro to CEO, in which he helps athletes and different professionals transition from being one professional to either starting their own venture or beginning something new. And he's the transition. He's the Mr. Career crossover.
Nice.
Right? So
nice.
So Kevin, you have what's called the 9 medallions, where it stands for champions. And you were mentioning how CL kind of represents a couple of those medallions. Which medallions that you want to accentuate today?
Man, he's knocking like 3 of them out clearly. Passion, possessing the drive to pursue what you desire most. Ingenuity, using positive mental capacity of your mind daily to expand learning on conscious living for your life and your personal and professional success. And then opportunism. Don't let me forget. Displaying the capacity to seek and seize opportunities neatly disguised as risk, which are in line with your ultimate goals. This guy, CL, you really are talking to. I think it's part of that half breed. You half Caribbean, and just like me, I got Caribbean in my blood, so I understand.
Yeah, man.
That's Antigua, half Antigua.
That's right.
We got Antigua in the family.
Okay.
Antigua, man. Big up to Antigua.
Yeah. We all party on Eastern Parkway. So this is going into the power segment of our episode, and can you kind of touch upon where did you get your power from, and how did you develop it to do what you can do today?
Yeah. So power, it took a few things to get power, and I still think there's more power to get. I mean, I'm just I know we're talking about power, but for me, it came from again my network, but it really came from a couple of things. Number one was when I began when I got my first job, I saw my first glimpse of power because
Mm-hmm.
at that point, you become a gatekeeper to something. Um, yeah, it may not be
Yes.
the biggest thing in the world, but people were coming to me for something.
Yes.
Well, they were
like
coming
that.
to you. They were coming to you for appointments.
Hey, write that down, people. He just dropped a jewel on you.
Yeah, I mean, they came to you for appointments, right? Because you were at a very young age. You was an executive assistant to several executives.
Yeah, man.
That people had to do a meeting and they had to go through you.
Either that, or they needed to get something done, or they needed to meet with somebody, like you said, or but you realize that, and I think as I grew, what I started to understand was like, okay, that's cool, but that's still not enough, and I started to sort of still trying to figure out what I wanted to do and everything, because that's probably like the hardest thing to me, is like to find yourself in all of this stuff. Um, so I was trying to figure that out, and I started to really fall in love with promotion after a while, because it was like, okay, when you make a record, how do you actually get this thing started? Like, how where do these trends come from? Who actually makes the trends? Who breaks the records? Who starts them? And so on and so forth. And I started to connect with a lot of DJs, a lot of radio people, and a lot of grassroots stuff. Shout out to Morris Landy. We worked together at Crave Records, and he's the first one to say, you know what, CL, I need you to oversee this street marketing stuff, as well as the sort of the DJ radio stuff. And that began to put me into a really strong space, and understand more and more and more about radio, and how to make friends by just simply talking to people.
Mm.
And I started to build my network. Um, After that, I went to Cornerstone, and then I learned how to build an even better network. And shout out to Rob Stone for that, and John Cohen and Lee Harrison, because up until that point, I had people's numbers in my little star tech, but it really wasn't organized. And what I learned in that place and how to gain power is to actually have your contacts organized and to know more information about each contact. So we were using like Constant Contact. No, we were using it was not Act. It was called FileMaker Pro, and I was able to take my radio station list and start to call each station and really find out who every DJ was and start to organize that. And that really became a powerful thing, because we then, began to build these tools for them to be a part of. And again, became a gatekeeper. We started 1200 Squad. DJs wanted to be a part of that. So they would call, they would say, hey, CL, help me, I help you. And we became friends, and we were able to do some big moves. And, we took that power, was able to step to brands like Coca-Cola and Sprite, Echo at the time, and so on and so forth. So we started to use that. And that's what it is, and like I said, as I went on to create DigiWax, the power came in having a very strong network of people that I could rely on and talk to. And it brought us a lot of opportunity from that. But again, like I said before, true power to me, is even more than that. I think true power now is understanding that all of us have to be able to build ourselves up, on one side of it being a media platform. And that's where, my goal is, or our goal is now, is to really, you know, take ourselves up a notch to build our own media platform. And when I say that, it's one thing to call yourself DigiWax Media. It's another thing to have DigiWax TV, DigiWax Radio, and other platforms that can reach millions of people. So we can tell the right stories. We can spread the information quicker. and we can spread the right information quicker. Um, so that we can program ourselves
Mm.
uh, even better. And that's my goal now. And I think that's true. We're starting to get into true power is that when you
Mm.
can say, hey, you know what, I have a network of 50 radio stations under my belt, and we can not only run ads, but we can talk about things. We can mention things during the break. We can play different songs that are more thought provoking. We can balance out our culture and not just represent one side of it,
Mm.
or two sides of it. It's sad because I've never knocked what others have done in terms of like VH1. I know people have a lot to say about, oh well, look at some of these shows and how they depict black men, black women. Um, you know, I'm mad that we don't have something to balance that,
Mm.
because we never really took the time. We maybe when we do take it time, it doesn't get much attention, or maybe we're just not marketing it right, or maybe we just don't have enough media to push it through. And I want to be a part of the balance of that.
That's a great point here. We talk about in a lot of respects, particularly around technology, particularly around political strength, and even entrepreneurship and owning things. Um, we talk about not having that space of ownership or having enough. But what responsibility is it of our community to really begin to believe that we are creators, owners, operators, managers, and leaders, and we have to shoulder some of. So if we want more engineers or more doctors or more politicians, what do we have to do to create that? Because we keep looking at other things and other people. Some of this could be our own. And I know there's lots of systematic things happening. We're talking about this, but where do we, as African Americans, look at grabbing some of this by the horn and taking it on for ourselves?
Another good question. I mean, in my opinion, you have to make things look cool. Unfortunately, a lot of kids and people, they just follow the trends of things, and I think a big part of it has to be glorifying these other, you know, industries and things. It's crazy to me that I can't name a black part maker, inventor, in terms of like, hey, I make
Mm.
widgets that go into Nissan cars, or I make
Mm.
I make chips that go into cell phones, or I make
Actually, a black man did do that.
and I
A
don't
chip.
know him, and that's my point. But
And
to me, huh? Go
And I
ahead.
know Vinny Johnson. He does make auto parts. He's one of the biggest automakers in Detroit. We have a few, but they're so far and few between. I think you're hitting on it. But
Mhm.
where I'm thinking too is, what do you think about where we could swim upstream? Like when we're introducing stuff to our kids, music, sports, do you believe there's some level of responsibility that we can plant a seed earlier and maybe create a few more, or is it we're just not
Yeah,
getting the opportunity?
absolutely, man. First and foremost, man, I'm blessed. Shout out to the Greenberg Central Seven School District that I grew up in, because
Mm,
we had black teachers take extra time to do special programs for us to put our minds on other things than just our day-to-day stuff. And I
hmm
think it definitely starts with taking the time out to give back physically, being there, doing, creating the hour program to talk about what we're talking about now, and
Mm.
make them understand the importance of thinking about these other things, because a lot of people just go through life not really knowing, because nobody took the time to actually tell them. um and we had cool black clubs that were focused on taking your mind past just basketball. And I grew up playing basketball, and that is definitely not disrespect. I love ball, but it was also this other balance in my life that I can go to, um, a brother like Mark Patterson and others of this nature who people who know me, they know I'm talking about, that had programs that we could do and learn about things like libation and honoring those that came before us, uh,
Mm,
understanding some of the other things that are happening globally around the world in
mm.
terms of what's happening in Africa, and in the different countries there, the Caribbean there, what some of the opportunities are, and and talking about it. I mean, even domestically, we're talking about black part makers. Well, hey, how many times in a week is that conversation happening with a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old that even puts their mind in that space to say, yo, you know what? Yeah, I know I'm dumb, nice, and bald, but when I make my bread, I'm gonna start a little factory up in Mount Vernon or in Harlem or here where I know I can afford to start it and begin to get contracts to make stuff. I have friends that are in Africa. I can get Colton for cheap, or I have people that are down in the Caribbean. I can get sea moss for cheap, and I can flip it and create health products, or I can get some land of state and I can grow some hemp and create hemp products with the state or whatever the case is. How
Yep.
many people are actually thinking outside of what we all, and I ain't mad at people's dreams or whatever they are, but what I wish I would have known more is that, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, when we do get this money, this is how we can work with each other and make more.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Make more,
So
make more.
so I think, yeah, how do we swim uphill? Re-education. Where does it start with us? It is taking, again, man. Um, all of these platforms are great to me, man. This platform, that the one I'm on that right now, is awesome because we are having these conversations and we're putting it out there. Now, imagine if we did have, and I'm not saying, I know the ultimate goal I would say is to have schools and reprogram kids' minds altogether, but that's a work towards.
Mm-hmm.
I
Hmm.
think right now, if you start saying, at your local community center, or starting to just build small programs that will take a handful of kids and put their minds into another space. And the truth is, they may know more than we think. A lot of them do. It's just starting to have the conversations about these other opportunities. We're talking about banking and savings and all of these things. Yeah, that's all important. But how do you make your money work for itself? And
Hmm.
there are people that are wizards that will tell you things that we find out at age 40. So
Mm-hmm. Wow.
that's how I look at that.
Yeah, that's
Man, that's
true.
that's dope. We got like three minutes left, man. Time is flying by. But
Okay.
what does it take to earn respect overall, in your opinion? This is the respect portion of the segment, and I want you to close it out, and then make sure within this 3 minutes at 8:56 that you could talk about DigiWax. How can people do business with you? How to
Okay. Yeah.
follow you? All that good
No
stuff.
problem. Well, respect comes from um, doing what you say you're going to do and actually doing it, following through and being consistent. Respect comes from collectively working with people, um, where they see a result from you, and the outcome is a win for them, whether that be money for them, whatever the agreement was, you fulfilled it, and they walked away happy. Um, Respect is respecting yourself too. It's waking up and dedicating your day to something that's going to take your brand, make your brand a little bit better. We talk about being a star, a 360 star from within. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and what that is literally doing the things that it takes to be a star every day, working out every day, um, um, learning something new, trying to learn something new every day. There's a lot of great online classes that you could take, um, um, to build your knowledge base. Uh, trying to share something every day. People have all these opportunities to post stuff or post something positive every day. Give people some thoughts. All of those things lead to respect, man. And then, of course, success garners respect. and you'll get
Mm-hmm.
all of that if you actually focus on a 360 success mindset. That's the way to get it.
Yeah, y'all. This brother's dropping jewels, 360
360.
mindset, remix the mind, uh, do your research, do your homework. Those are three major takeaways. Thank you so much, man, for blessing us
Oh,
today.
no problem,
You gotta give
Absolutely.
them a chance to sell. Tell
Oh,
everybody how we can
well,
embrace and love
listen,
you,
man.
man. What
I
is it? How
appreciate
can
it. I
we stay in
appreciate it.
touch?
If you're
Come on,
looking to
Joel.
learn more, man, if you're looking to learn more and to really get some solid advancement on your music career, reach out to me, reach out to my team. You can just check us out at DigiWax on all socials. Um, you know, feel free to just link us up. Digiwax.com is the website. You can link up through that as well. Um, very easy to get a hold of. I'm at DigiCEO if you want to get me directly, and that's DIGICEO on all social medias, and DigiWax is DIGIWAXX. Um, and we'll guide you through, man. We have, I think, the largest digital record pool and one of the best group of minds, man, that sits down and consults artists on what to do and gives you the game so that you don't go out here and burn yourself out. Happens a lot of times. People start out, they run 1,000 miles an hour, and halfway around the track, they sitting down, they walking, and you don't have to do that. That's one of the beautiful things of things is you don't know everything. No, neither do we, but we can definitely help you get to the next level. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. And once again, God bless you.
thank you.
Once again, CL, we're gonna have to get you back on the show
Yeah,
again.
you coming back. You coming back.
You was dropping it, and I think we need to even tap into even more of your services and why people need to leverage you, especially in this digital space and digital transformation. So once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect.
Respect. No doubt.
See you next week. Black Music Month, baby.
Thank you, CL. Appreciate you.
Thank y'all for having me, man. Peace.
Thank you.
That was good. Very good, Joel. Very good guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.